Hello and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all West Virginia students, sponsored by the West Virginia Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Counselors. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so all panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at westvirginiaacrao.org. That is WVACRAO.org. This session is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website. I'd like to now turn it over to our presenters. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right. Let me see. Okay. Let me see this real quick. All right. I do not know why that. Let me see real quick. I apologize. Okay. All right, let's try this one more time. Okay. All right, so for starters, my name is Chandler Kuhn. I graduated from Marietta College in 2018. I graduated with a bachelor's in international business with a double minor in economics and Asian studies. I am now the admission counselor for West Virginia for Marietta College. So if you do have any questions, feel free to enter and to put those in the Q&A box, and I would be more than happy to get those answered for you. I will answer the questions after I go through this little information session. It'll take about 25 to 30 minutes with this info session. So if you just want to ask those questions as we go, I would be more than happy to answer those at the end. But for starters, so just some fast facts about Marietta. So we are in Ohio. We're right on the Ohio River. West Virginia, we are right beside Williamstown, West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia, if you guys are familiar with that at all. Currently, we have around 1,200 students. So in the grand scheme of things, we are a pretty small school. We are a Division III liberal arts private institution. At Marietta College, average class size is around 13 students per class. Kind of going hand in hand with your hands-on approach with your professors, your one-on-one interaction with your professors, and is something we really value at Marietta College. Out of that 1,200 students, we do represent 34 different states and 10 different countries. So even though we are a pretty small populated school, we are a pretty diverse bunch. We have a lot of different people from different geographical locations, which is something we're really proud of here at Marietta College. Student to faculty ratio is around 9-to-1, just going in on that hands-on approach with your professors and the one-on-one interaction you will receive from those professors. So why Marietta? This is our little brag slide. I promise this is the only time I'll bring up all of our little rankings, but these are something we're really proud of. So we are named a regional best out of 649 schools by Princeton Review. We are also 10th in the Midwest in U.S. News and World Report, and we've been on that list for over 30 years ever since it originated. We are also ranked 18th among all 125 Ohio four-year institutions, and that's by Forbes. That is one ranking we're really proud of just because of how competitive Ohio higher education is, and the fact that we're beating out some D1, D2, and D3 schools on that list is something that we like to talk about and brag about a little bit. Okay, so we do have a little over 40 majors. So if you are a senior in high school right now and you are wanting to declare for a major, you could definitely do so. Also, we are seeing a kind of growth in undecided majors where students kind of want to test their waters before they actually want to declare for something, which is a-okay, perfectly fine. If you are wanting to test your waters a little bit, we have provided every student to the spring semester of their sophomore year to fully declare for something. That is still ensuring your four-year graduation rate, because we know you don't want to be here for a fifth year, and we don't want you there either. So we also have 9 pre-professional programs, and we have 4 graduate programs. So we have 2 psychologies. One is basic psychology. The other one is clinical mental health counseling. We also have athletic training as a graduate program, and we also have our PA program, which is super competitive and top notch, and we have a 100% placement rate with our PA program. We do have a McDonough leadership as well. You can see the requirement right there with the GPA. With the McDonough leadership, it's a pretty cool program that we have here at Marietta College, because leadership is typically provided at the graduate level in your master's program or anything like that. Marietta College is one of the only schools in the United States that provides leadership at the undergraduate level. So kind of giving you that leadership background, that leadership focus in your undergraduate level, kind of giving you a leg up in the competition when you're job searching, resume building, and all of that. We also have an honors program. Requirements for the honors program is around a 3.5 GPA or above. We kind of, obviously you'll be taking accelerated courses with the honors program. With the honors program as well, we kind of call it VIP access to campus. You get preferential housing as an honors student, and any kind of guest speakers, famous authors, events, or concerts that happen on campus, there's always going to be tickets designated for the honors program students. So you don't really ever have to kind of fight for a ticket or anything like that, which is always nice. Okay, so academics continued. Being a Division III liberal arts school, we do pride ourselves on experiential learning. So if you look at that bullet, every student at Marietta College is required to do at least one of those their 4 years at Marietta College. So study abroad, service learning, leadership, research, or internships. The majority of our students do internships. That is one that is accomplished at even their freshman year. Students get internships, and all the way up to their senior year still doing internships. But I could drop down to the Career Center to talk about that. So with the Career Center, it's really interesting because you can walk in, schedule an appointment with the Career Center, say, my name's so-and-so, living in this area. Could you find me any job opportunities, experience, or internships in this area? So what they'll do is they'll filter out anything you'd be eligible for. They'd send it your way and say that you find one that really piques your interest and you apply, and you get a call back for an interview. So one really cool thing the Career Center does is they provide mock interviews for you to make you more comfortable in that interview process. That is one tool I utilized 3 separate times while I was an undergraduate at Marietta College, just because I know how nerve-wracking those interviews are. So once I got to the official interviews, it was kind of like a cakewalk in a sense, just because I knew what was going to be asked. I knew the etiquette. I knew what to wear. I was just very prepared thanks to the Career Center at Marietta College. Another thing with the Career Center at Marietta is that once you graduate from Marietta College, the Career Center is with you for the rest of your life, free of charge. So if you're in kind of working in the same place for a few years and you need or you want to relocate, you could always call up the Career Center and they could filter out any jobs you'd be eligible for in that area. That would be cutting out that middleman job search engine for you. You wouldn't really be headhunting, paying someone else to kind of find you a job in those areas, and just always kind of the Career Center giving back to our alumni foundation. We also have an academic resource center, or the students call it the ARC. It's free tutoring, writing center, academic support. One thing I used the ARC for as a student was I used it to kind of learn how to study. It was coming into college as a freshman. I knew that I was going to have to study a little bit harder than how I was in high school. So one thing that Academic Resource Center taught me is how to retain the knowledge I was hearing instead of writing everything word for word what I was seeing on a PowerPoint presentation, and just kind of retaining that and kind of taking notes on what was actually important. So yeah, that was one thing with the Academic Resource Center that was really nice. Also with Marietta College, you'll be given an academic advisor. That academic advisor is going to be a professor in your field of study. So if you're going into any business or economics, we're not going to give you a psychology professor to kind of mold your 4 years here, which kind of makes sense and it seems pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised how many institutions kind of just give you someone and expect you to take it and run with that. So your academic advisor, you're required to meet with them once a semester. That one time is to schedule your next semester's classes. So you're never going to walk out of that meeting with your advisor and you're not going to be kind of clouded, and you're going to know exactly what you need to be doing and what steps you need to be taking for your 4-year path. And it's just going to be reassuring for you because you're going to know what needs to be done, which is really nice. Okay, so outcomes. Over 95% of our graduates are in graduate school or employed 6 months after graduation. It's a really huge statistic we like to talk about, one we're really proud of. And just those 2 bullets under that are just Marietta College graduates where they've worked and different kind of grad schools that they've attended as well. Okay, so student life. So Marietta College, we are a residential campus, basically meaning that 94% of our students live on campus all 4 years. The 6% who don't are the 6% who meet the 30-mile radius to commute and drive to school every day, which is really nice if you're coming a few hours away, just because there's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be people on campus, just because everyone is living on campus as well. We have 6 dining options on campus as well. And if you miss the dining options from 5 to 8 p.m., we do have a late night option that is open till midnight. So if you're up late studying, you could always get a fill up by that as well. We have a little over 60 clubs and organizations. If you're doing any kind of student athletics, if you're doing any athletics, football, anything like that, we also kind of deem that as a club or organization as well, just because you're going to be spending a lot of time with those people to and from early morning practices, events, games, everything like that. Campus safety. We do have a campus police station right on campus. Directly opposite of campus, on the other side of campus, we have city police. So we're pretty well covered when it comes to safety. There's not a lot that happens in Little Marietta, Ohio, but we are very well covered when it comes to safety. So fine arts. With our fine arts, I will touch on that we do have a fine arts scholarship. They range from $1,500 to $3,500 per year. That being said, you do not have to be a fine arts major to receive those scholarships, but you would be required to partake or participate in a music ensemble, a theatrical performance, or any kind of exhibits. And there is a audition process that you will have to go through. And the audition process is what deems what kind of monetary value you will receive from the scholarship. So if you have any interest in that, definitely look into our fine arts program and our fine arts scholarships and get a schedule with Chris Bowmaster to do a audition. So athletics, we are in the NCAA Division III. We're in the Ohio Athletic Conference, or the OAC. We do have 22 varsity sports. Our 2 newest ones are men's and women's golf and men's and women's lacrosse. We do offer walk-ons, so even if you're not being recruited being a D3 school, you have the opportunity to try out or walk on or anything like that if you find yourself being really passionate about one of the sports you played in high school and you aren't necessarily ready to kind of give it up yet. With our athletics, if you kind of have done your homework on Marietta College or anything like that, I'm sure you've noticed that all of our athletic facilities are very updated. Our football field is completely gray turf. Our soccer field is navy blue turf, and our baseball field is also AstroTurf. It's barely been played on due to the pandemic. The only fresh field we have right now is the softball field, and it is also the best softball field in the OAC, so I don't think they'll be touching that field anytime soon. All right, so here's the 2021 and 2022 cost of attendance. Now, everything you see above that total standard cost is what that all entails. The only thing that is not in that bulk sum are books. So books kind of fluctuate depending on what major you jump into. So it was kind of hard to put a estimate on what books would be. So those are out of that list, but everything above that is included in that total standard cost. Now, the average Marietta Gift Aid Award that is provided to each student is around $25,710. And again, that is our average. Some students receive more, some students receive less. That's just kind of our middle ground right there. That is all taken into consideration your merit-based aid. So basically your academic success in high school, your GPA, and what all you've done in high school. It's also taking into consideration your financial aid that you may receive through the FAFSA. Okay, so here are scholarships and awards. So you can kind of see we have transitioned to a test optional school for this is the first year we're doing it. So you can kind of see where your GPA or where you're falling in at this point. There is no separate application for this monetary amount. This would just be included in your decision letter. It's called a correspondence letter, and you would automatically receive that. Again, there's no separate application for this. It would just be automatic. So financial aid continued. So I do recommend every student fill out the FAFSA. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with the FAFSA at this point, and if you're not, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot about it in your upcoming months, especially as a senior in high school. After you fill out that FAFSA, typically students are eligible for federal work study at Marietta College. Every student can make up to $2,000 a year at Marietta College through a work study job. We kind of calculated that out to be about 8 to 10 hours a week. So it's still super doable if you're doing any kind of extracurricular activities, any kind of club or organization, or if you're a student athlete, there's still some time to do that. Typically, students, it's in the name work study. So students like to find jobs where it's not that straining with work, and you have a lot of opportunity or downtime to do your studies as well as work. And like I said, there's a huge demand for work study at Marietta College. So you can literally find a job anywhere on campus that is kind of use or kind of attractive to you or what you like to do. With that $2,000, it's kind of up to you how you want to delegate that. If you want that $2,000 to go all to your tuition, you can do that. If you want to do 50-50, so $1,000 to your tuition and $1,000 to your pocket, just so you have some extra spending money while you're on campus, you can definitely do that as well. Or if you want to pocket all of it, you could do that. It's just every student's different, and their lifestyles are different as well. So here's our application review. We call it our holistic review, basically meaning that we don't really let a computer decide if you're admissible or not. I am going to look into everything with the application process. Sometimes if it's a tough decision, I'll even look into how many absences a student has on their high school transcripts. But what we look into is the application, high school transcripts, your essay, and your guidance counselor recommendation. And test scores are optional. So it's up to you if you want your test scores to represent your application. And there will also be an option on your application to decide if you want your test scores to be represented on your application. We are on the Common App. We are also on our own Marietta College application. It's called the Lead the Way application. And what I like to say about your essay is that you are your own best advocate. So what I like to see with my essays that I read is basically about 2 to 3 paragraphs of you just bragging about yourself, saying what you're really passionate about, what you do in and out of class, on and off the field, anything like that, just so I can kind of get to know the students I'm bringing in. Okay, so here's our timeline. Basically, an important date was October 1st. That is when the FAFSA opened nationally. January 4th is when our first financial aid awards will go out. So Our applications are currently rolling, so if you get all of your application materials into us, we could have an answer to you within a week. But with the FAFSA and financial aid awards, there will not be any financial aid packages being sent until around January 4th. And then we have a priority date for financial aid. So from October 1st to January 15th, that's our priority window to get that FAFSA sent to us, just so you can ensure your best package the first time. And then on May 1st, we have a national candidate reply date. That is, we have a $200 enrollment deposit. So if you make that deposit on or before May 1st, we kind of send a care package to you with Marietta swag. Sometimes it's cups, koozies, sunglasses, t-shirts. Maybe now it's going to be a mask and a hand sanitizer. But yeah, so if you reply on or before that date, we send a little care package to you. And I also know with NCAA, if you are a student athlete, then NCAA does have a signing day that is a little bit before May 1st, and that is perfectly fine. Doing the May 1st National Candidate Reply Day is just so we can kind of get an estimate of what our incoming class is going to look like. All right, so here is our step-by-step process. So step one would definitely be to apply. Like I said, we're on the Common App or the Lead the Way application on our website. Step two, get your admission decision. Step three would be to complete that FAFSA. Again, it opened on October 1st and kind of get that into us before January 15th. Step four, we do have that $200 enrollment deposit. Now that enrollment deposit is the handoff from being a prospective student to a current student. So that's when a lot of housing portals are going to open for you, your roommate surveys, or your roommate options if you plan to room with someone you know, and also the meal plan, your meal plan options as well. And then step five, we have a deposited student checklist, which is a step-by-step checklist that has all of the required documents, materials, and things to do upon your arrival in the fall. All right, guys. I know I threw a lot at you right there. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, so this question I just received. It says, with your pre-med program, what does it include? So the pre-med program is going to be basically whatever path you're wanting to jump into is what you'll kind of experience with the pre-med program. So with your pre-med, if you are wanting to if you're wanting to go into the pre-physician assistant program, that is one route. With pre-med, there's a lot of different routes you can take. We have sports medicine. We have, that is a step to athletic training. We also have any of our biologies, chemistries, biochemistries are all seen as pre-med. And those are steps you can take into getting into any kind of graduate school from your medical programs or anything like that. But that is one important thing why we give you you'll be given a pre-med academic advisor that is a professor in pre-med. It's probably going to be Dr. David Brown, and he's going to basically ask you questions about what you plan to be doing with your 4 years or in your future after your 4 years, and then he's going to mold your whole entire 4-year experience for Marietta College for what you are wanting to do. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay, so this question says, I'm really interested in this school, but the cost is higher than what I was expecting. Any idea what the maximum amount of financial aid they give out is so I could know what I'm up against? So the financial aid that is provided to each student is based on what the student sends in from their FAFSA, and it's through the through federal analysis. It is we look at it, and our financial aid office will see an EFC. EFC stands for Expected Family Contribution. So then, when they look into your family contribution, what it looks like your family can contribute to you and help you in your college process. The college will look into that, and then they will make a financial aid package for you. So it really does fluctuate. Some students that have a very high EFC may not receive a large amount of financial aid, but students who do have a lower EFC, Marietta College does intend to help out as much as they can. So this question says, what score do you need on your ACT and SAT to be accepted? So that's a great question because we are a test optional school now. So it is really up to you if you even want your ACT, SAT scores to be considered. But if you do want your ACT, SAT scores to be considered, I will say that our first scholarship that is considered if you want your ACT or SAT scores to be represented on your application. Our first scholarship is at the 24 ACT. And then we do have also alternative scholarships for lower ACTs. I would say our average ACT, SAT scores is around a 24 and an 1180 SAT. But we also have programs for students who don't do the best in scoring. It's called PIO Prep, and that is an event that we hold in the summertime that if a student is kind of struggling or is seen to be struggling, we have them come to campus for a week in the summertime, and we kind of go through different classes and different team building courses that help you and better prepare you for college. Okay. Alrighty. Any other questions, guys? Alrighty. Well, I thank you for your time. And if you guys do have any other questions, again, my name is Chandler Kuhn. I am your admission counselor, so you can email me at cmk006@marietta.edu, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions for you.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. When everyone closes their window, there will be a link to a very quick, short 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted. Be sure to sign up for additional sessions at westvirginiacrao.org. That's WVACRAO.org. In about a week, you will be able to find this session along with others that have been previously recorded at WVACRAO.org. Thank you and hope you have a great evening.
Thank you.